Hey, what's up, guys? So I just want to do a part 2 video on the axle shaft. The last video was kind of dark and you couldn't really see anything, so I'm going to show you the exact internal parts of this thing and how they go back together so you can put it back together right. This is also why I wouldn't recommend using a slide hammer on the passenger side, because I'll show you what happened to the thrust washer on this one and why I had to rebuild it anyways. So basically, you got your inner axle tube here, inner axle tube there, and then on the end of that, that's your seal. That's what I replaced, that brand new seal on there. So you got that. This is your inner axle. I already cleaned these up. You can just use a brake parts cleaner, clean them all up, get all the debris off of them, get them all nice and clean. And then you got all your internal parts here, and I'll show you how all these go together. So you got your, obviously I'll start with the gasket, and here's what happened. So I had to take that one off. It broke apart. I ordered another one. It was only about 10 bucks. I got it from eBay. But that's the brand new seal that goes on the end of your axle shaft there. So we'll start with that. So you got your axle shaft. We're going to take this. That's going to slide carefully straight down in there. Okay? And that's your seal, and that's your inner axle. Give it a little push. It'll lock in, spin. That's that part of it. So now you got your inner axle inside of your axle tube there. Then you got your thrust washer here. Now I had to order a new one of these, and this is why you don't use a slide hammer to pull that inner axle out, because it is a C-clip that holds it in, but the thrust washer on my 07 Tahoe right here was a 2-part thrust washer, and you can just see that thing got mangled. I mean, that thing has some serious definition to it now when it's supposed to be a flat piece like this. And that flat piece goes right on there like that, slides down into the teeth, and that kind of holds it in right there. Okay? So we got that on. Now you have your gear there. That's going to slide right on top of that, just like that. You got your spring here, and this is what engages and disengages your four-wheel drive. And there's a little pin down in there that's going to push up on this pin and slide it in and out. So you got that, goes on there like that. That's going to slide right back into your differential. You got another washer. This washer is going to go on the inside of that washer there, and then this is going to ride on that. Okay? And then you got your C-clamp. Now the C-clamp I kind of messed up here because the C-clamp's going to go on before, but that holds everything together. So you'll put your C-clamp on. Now I can't do it with one hand, but obviously that's going to ride that ring right there. That's going to hold your thrust washer and going to hold everything together. So you got your C-clamp that goes in there. All this is going to ride the top of it, just like that. That way when your four-wheel drive engages, pushes up, locks in. Even if you're out, slides up, locks in. Okay? And then obviously this is the gasket. That's going to go right down at the bottom there. You put that on, and then you want to get some good gasket seal so that you can hold it all together. But that's how you put one back together. This gear is going to go inside your front differential. You got your spring here, and like I said, that'll push up and down. This keeps it from pushing too much on the spring, but it's got the little piece in there that'll push it up and down and keep it from, you know, engaging and disengaging. Alright, so that's exactly how you put those back together. I'll show you real quick on the bottom of the truck where all these pieces slide in. Now that I have the door open, it's getting a little bit nicer here. But there's your front differential, and you can see right where that gear slides in, right where the spring goes, and that's how you engage and disengage it. And I don't know if you could see on the other video, but there's your cable. That's your power cable to it. Now, it's actually pretty easy without trying to use a slide hammer. I got it out without even taking the CV axle off. Because if you take the CV axle off, then you got to take the struts off, which is 3 bolts at the top. And then you got these 2 bolts down below that hook into these guys here. And you actually, if you're doing both sides, have to take off the sway bar links too. So get around that. If you drop the whole tube, you don't even have to take the CV axles off. So you will want to jack up the car, or not the car, you'll have the car already jacked up, but you want to jack up the differential because that's just hanging there. You want to have your jack underneath there so it's holding it, so that thing's not just falling down. But then you got your down underneath here, those right there, you can see where those are in relation. Those are your 2 mounting bolts for the axle tube. It'll mount right on there, and there's 2 nuts that go on there. I think those are 22 mil. I'm not exactly sure. Don't quote me on that. But you'll mount it back up there. And then you got 6 bolts holding your CV axle here. You'll put those back onto the inner axle, and you're back in action. You're going to lose a little bit of gear oil when you take this out. So you want to make sure you got a bottle of 75 W90 so that you can refill that, because you want to make sure you're filled up on gear oil. But super simple. The last thing I'll show you here, right down below there, that is where your electrical harness is going to hook in. Pretty self-explanatory, but you want to make sure you unhook that before you take it off. But yeah, that's how it all goes together. Make it a little bit easier for you and save you all the hassle of taking off the front suspension and the CV axles and all that, which is what I did the first time. This was a lot easier. So hopefully that helps out. Give me a like and subscribe, and thanks again.